Good evening. Yesterday in my lecture, yesterday or Sunday night, I spoke about a story of a man who went with his dog to a restaurant. Did you have a chance yet to hear it? He took his dog to a restaurant. In Israel, he sits on a chair and he puts the dog on the other chair. And the waiter came and he said, what's for you? He ordered steaks, all kinds of fancy food. And then he say, for my dog, a steak with asparagus, with some spaghetti. So I said to him, you mean the leftovers? He said, no leftover, just regular meal. This is $100. I said, yes. Would you like to sit next to me while I'm eating a steak and you eat the leftover? So he said, it says no. So he went to that. So he said, he went to the waiter, went to the owner of the restaurant in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And he said to him, I don't know what to do. Maybe you should take that table. I don't want to get into trouble. If I understood correctly, this guy wanted to order a steak and a fancy dish for his dog. And I asked him, should I bring you leftover? He said, no, I don't want to offend my dog. I want my dog to eat just what I eat. So the owner of the restaurant came and he said to him, excuse me, I can give you plenty of leftover, these pieces of meat we collect from the garbage, no problem. Why should you waste $100? He said, listen, I want my dog to eat just what I eat. Now the question the reason I say that story is the owner of the restaurant is a religious Jew, is allowed to serve the dog a steak, whatever, even though the owner is paying for it. Is he allowed, according to the Torah, to give the dog a regular fancy meal or not? That was the question. Just yesterday or the night before I spoke about it, guess what? I'm getting a text an hour ago of someone who was in a lecture, and he sent it to me. Assembly of New York is passing a law, a new law. What's the new law? Owners of dogs will be able to eat together in a restaurant with their dogs. So next time when you go to a fancy restaurant and you sit, just 5 minutes ago on this chair, there was a big bulldog over here, sitting over here, and eating from the same plates you're about to eat. A new law in New York. We're becoming more and more like Sodom and Gomorrah. First, women can marry their dogs. Now you can go on a dinner with your dog. What's next?
Even home.
What's next? Only Hashem knows what's next. Yesterday, I started to speak a little bit about Parashat Korach. Parashat Korach. And I didn't even finish 5% of what I wanted to say. So today, maybe I'll finish 10%, 15%. Speak a little bit about this parasha, which is a very, very important parasha who teach us a lot about our life, especially in this generation. In today's generation, if you check what is one of the main problem in the Jewish world today is the Machloket, disagreements. But there is, when you say the word disagreement, it doesn't sound so bad. Big deal. People don't have to agree with each other. Not always they have to agree. Everyone has his own opinion. You know what they say, there are 2 Jews in a room, there are 3 opinions in a room, or 4. Each one has an opinion. He comes with 2 opinions. It just depends what you're going to say. If you're going to say left, he comes with an opinion of right. If you say right, he has already an opinion for left. It became a profession to disagree. It became a habit. It became fun. What's the fun otherwise to agree with what you say? You have to say, there's always a but. You always have to contradict with something. There's one thing to have contradictions for the sake of heaven, like Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, like the Gemara said, this is pure Machloket, for the sake of heaven. But unfortunately, the Machloket today are far away from the sake of heaven, far away. It's 99.9% of the cases is all for the sake of the stomach and the ego. People do it for their own benefits. They don't really care about the truth so much. What really motivates people? Their kavod, their honor. The more ego the person has, the more usually he fights with people. That's the way it is. Some people are down to earth. That's their nature. Jews, non-Jews, religious, not religious. Their nature is down to earth. They don't try to steal the show. They don't want too much attention. They're happy in their corners. They're shy. They don't interfere with anything. Whenever there's an argument, they run away. There are people like that. That's a gift from heaven, especially in today's generation. If you have this gift, you're a very lucky person. Why? The chance that you lose your olam haba in minutes doesn't really exist. Why? Because you know where to run. You saw a Machloket, you run away. The problem is that most of the people don't have this gift. And whenever there is a Machloket, even though it's nothing to do with them, so that's two people arguing. Right away they run to push their nose in it. What is it? What is it your business? Oh, no, I passed by, excuse me for saying it, but I think he's right. You're wrong. What is it your business? Two partners are arguing about how to run their business. It's your business? Shouldn't be your business. Two big rabbis arguing. That's your business? You're a rabbi? You learn 20 years Torah? All your life is around the Torah? Not exactly. So why you push your nose in places that you're not an expert in? Two doctors are arguing in a hospital. You're a doctor? You're not a doctor. Do you know about medicine? Do you know about surgeries? No. Why you push your nose there? Etc. It depends on, it's not your specialty. Now, even if it's your specialty, you still don't have permission to interfere. Nobody asked you. If somebody asked you, sometimes it's good to answer, sometimes better not to answer. For instance, if you know these people have ego, and you see the way they argue, they don't care about the truth. They only want to win the argument. As soon as you become a part of the argument, you become their target. They can destroy you. Because whatever you're going to say, you're going to pay the price. If you say Reuven is right, Shimon will destroy you. If you say Shimon is right, Reuven will destroy you. Chacham enav berosho. If you find two humble, down-to-earth people who seek for the truth, then it's mitzvah to put an end to the argument. You say, he's right, I'm an expert, he's right. Finish. The other one say, thank you very much for clarifying, we appreciate it, goodbye. That's beautiful. Unfortunately, it's almost never end like that. He's right? Yeah, you just like him, same garbage. Excuse me, you asked me a question, I just told you, no, I know everything about you. Tomorrow morning, you're all over the Facebook. Right? Revenge, ego. It's a killer. This parasha is teaching us a lot about it. Tov. Let's see some of the things we really have to understand when it comes to this parasha. First, we have to understand Datan and Aviram and Korach, they are three negative characters. They joined together. They were neighbors where the tribes were, Shevet Levi, and then next to Korach there was Datan and Aviram, Shevet Reuven. They were together nearby. Oy la Rasha ve'oy le'shcheno, Chazal say, from here. They say Korach is the Rasha, who is his neighbor, Datan and Aviram. Min matzah et mino. They came to begin to make a fight with the most humble person in the history of this world. And who testified that is the most humble person? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If people come and tell you this guy Reuven is very humble, the more people tells you about him, the more you are convinced. If one person says he's a wonderful, humble person, maybe yes, maybe not. How do I know this guy is saying the truth? Then tomorrow you heard it again, and next week you heard it again, and then 3 people here, and 1 person there, and 2 people there. You've been hearing it a lot. It's very humble, it's very humble, it's very down to earth, it's very nice person. You hear it nonstop. The more you hear it, the more you're convinced. Tomorrow, if you have something to do, you would grow and you would like to do it with this humble person. Why? You heard 50 times that he's humble, or that he's smart, or that he's generous, or that he's honest, whatever the case is. When it comes to wisdom, if somebody comes and tells you, this guy Reuven is very wise man, depends who tells it to you. If a little kid, 7 years old, say to you, this guy Reuven is very smart, do you pay attention to what he said? What a 7-year-old kid knows about wisdom? Maybe he gave him 2 candies, so he called him smart. It's not an indication that he's really smart. If an adult come and he say, this guy Reuven is very smart, maybe yes, maybe not. In order for you to know that Reuven is smart, the smarter the person that testifies is, the more you convince. For instance, if a local Rebbe is telling you that this guy is a Talmid Chacham, you believe him 30%, 40%. If Chacham Ovadia Yosef Zatzal tell you about him, I tested him and he's a very big Chacham, now your belief went up to 80%. Well, somebody so big say that he's a Chacham, he has to be a Chacham. But your Yetzer Hara convince you all kinds of things. Maybe the rabbi is nice, maybe he helps the rabbi wants to pay him back, so he a little bit exaggerate, maybe. If the Rambam comes and say to you, oh, this guy is very smart, very, very smart. In a league of the Rambam, to be smart, you have to be a super genius. Anything less than that, you're nothing when it comes to wisdom. So if the Rambam tells you this guy is a Talmid Chacham, end of argument. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and tells you this guy is a Chacham, do you ever have a doubt? Finished. So Korach heard that Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen. Moshe Rabbeinu made miracles in Egypt. Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to Paro and Paro couldn't do anything about it. Moshe Rabbeinu split the Red Sea. And Hashem spoke to Moshe and not to Korach or to anybody else. Is this enough to be quiet and to stop barking? It's not enough? When is it ever going to be enough? It's not that Moshe came and he pretend that he's a Baba. He goes like this. Okay, Hashem, please hold on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just getting a message from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Oh, that's a problem. By the way, you should know, it says in the Torah, Moshe yedaber v'Elokim ya'anenu bekol. Moshe speaks, and Hashem answers him with a voice. The word with a voice sounds a little bit unnecessary. What does it mean? How do you answer a person without a voice? Moshe speaks, the Torah should have said, Moshe speaks, and Hashem answered him. Why the Torah needed to say with a voice? That it won't be that the skeptic today would come and say, you believe in Moshe? Moshe was a sophisticated Baba, chas v'shalom. He was pretending that he speaks to Hashem and say, nobody ever witnessed Hashem speaking. That's why it's written in the Torah, V'Hashem ya'anenu bekol, that everybody heard Hashem. Otherwise, what is the proof? Otherwise, if he didn't say bekol, then all the skeptic will make fun out of it. It will become a disaster. That's why the Torah needed to say bekol. So Korach, no matter what he saw, he didn't learn his lesson. Korach should have learned from Miriam the prophet, the older sister of Moshe Rabbeinu, that she spoke against Moshe Rabbeinu even though she meant well, completely well. It's her young brother that she loves very much, and she risked her life waiting to see who's going to pick him up from the box, from the Niles. After all that, Hashem punished Miriam anyway. When she meant well, Hashem came to Miriam and Aaron and say, Ech lo yaretem ledaber be'avdi Moshe. How were you not afraid to speak at my servant Moshe? That all the other prophets, I speak to them in a dream or when they faint. And the only one that I speak face to face while he's awake is Moshe Rabbeinu. So how did you have the nerve to talk against him? And I want to remind you, they did not speak anything negative about him. They just were concerned about him, leaving his wife, whatever. They were only talking positive things. If you have an older sister, and she sees that her young brother is doing something that looks a little bit questionable, the older sister that loves him very much, she may say something to the mother or to the father about the young son. She means well. What is the sin here? Even though it was all for a good purpose, she had to be isolated for a week. Everybody, the entire nation of Israel had to sit for 1 week waiting for her until she get cured, that she can join the camp back and she can continue to walk with him. That wasn't enough for you, Mr. Korach, to know that with Moshe Rabbeinu you don't mess? You mess with him, it's like messing against Hashem? Should have been enough, no? And I can give you another 10 different examples that Korach should have learned a lesson not to dare to speak a word or anything like that against Moshe Rabbeinu. But at the same time, we're learning a very important lesson today. Very important lesson. When it comes to a person that has ego, pride, he has ego, and that's what motivates him in life. All about his honor. No logical thing would ever stop him on his wicked way. As long as he did not get rid of his ego and pride, even if he sees Hashem face to face telling him to stop, he will not stop. And that's the words of the Gemara. Reshaim, wicked people, meaning people arrogant, with ego, with pride. Reshaim, afilu al pitcha shel gehenom enam shavim b'tshuva. Wicked people, even in the gate of Gehenom, they still not repenting. How can it be? They're about to put him in the gas chambers. Moments before they push him in, he wouldn't say, I made a mistake, look what my mistake got me into. How can it be? The answer is, I'm going to be burned, I'm going to scream, I'm going to get the pain, you will kill me, you will cut me to pieces, and you'll never get a word from me that I was wrong. And it's happening non-stop all the time, all over the world. Not only to Korach, to a lot of people, even in our generation. It happens all the time. Why? The pain, the ego, it's such a drive, such a fanatic drive that drives a person into destruction, that it's very difficult for a person with pride to stop. And the proof for that is that there was a king, Yerovam ben Nevat. Everybody heard that story, I'm sure, at least once. Yerovam ben Nevat, the Chachamim testify that he was such a big, giant Chacham that in every subject of the Torah, he was able to give 127 different lectures on the same topic. Do you hear me? 127 different topics, different lectures on each topic. And after being such a big Chacham that knows the entire Torah, when he saw that the kingdom split into two, there is Rechavam in Yerushalayim, is the king there in the time of Bet HaMikdash, and he is in the rest of Israel. This Yerovam, he sees there's two kings right away. It's like two bosses in one company. It usually never works. Can you make two presidents of the United States? It's never going to work. 2 prime ministers, it can't. The system needs one boss. Cannot be 2 bosses. And even if you want to get him an assistant, everybody knows the boss is here and the assistant is here. So what's going on here is that Yerovam ben Nevat, he knew that if people go to Yerushalayim, all of them will have to see that the Rechavam is sitting in the Azara, like in the chair of the king, and he will stand with the audience, like one of the ordinary people. And he say, over my dead body, something like this would happen. Will I go to Yerushalayim with all my students, with all my people, with my soldiers, and they will see me standing like an ordinary human being? Because there's only one chair for only one king. Man, if there was 2 chairs, no. So he said, I'm not going to go to Bet HaMikdash. I'm going to prevent everybody from going there. Why? That I cannot see that they will go to Yerushalayim and see that there is another king and he gets more respect than me. Therefore, I'm going now to go and fight against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to modify the Torah. I'm going to force on the entire people to make a scene, not to go to Bet HaMikdash, that my ego will not get hurt. Look, and this is not people like today. Remember, people of today know how much knowledge they have. This is a person who knew the entire Torah. He knew the entire Torah in a very, very high level. So what did he do? He put police. Police closed the way to Yerushalayim. You can sit here, first row. It's for the VIP men. Right here. We were waiting for you, Baruch Hashem. So basically what happened here, he put police and he doesn't let people go to Yerushalayim. Step number 1. Step number 2, he put big statues. How to believe? It's really this story. Excuse my language, I never get the point here. How can it be such thing? How can something like this happen? I'm talking about the nation of Israel. Him, I'm not surprised. I see what ego does to people. But how the nation of Israel would cooperate with such a scam? He put 2 big statues over there and makes the people come and say, bow down to these idols? What? They were on the way to Bet HaMikdash and he sends them to a church? Doesn't make any sense here. After all of that, Hashem came to him. Hashem comes to him. Instead, he said to him, listen, make tshuva and I'll still make you go to heaven. You and me and Ben Ishai, meaning David HaMelech, King David, will walk together in heaven. Instead of being so happy that after all the crimes he made in the name of his ego, and say, really Hashem, would you consider giving me such a chance? What did he say? Who is first? Meaning, who is more important, me or Ben Ishai or David HaMelech? Hashem told him, David. He said, I'm not interested. This is an example of what danger we have if we're not going to get rid of our ego. Ego can cause a World War III. Many of the wars in the world was 100% a matter of ego of a leader. Everyone was begging him, the advisor, please, we're not going to get anything out of this war. Let's compromise. Let's give up a little bit. Nothing. He goes, 100% is nothing to talk about. It's either my way or the highway. Finished. And what happened in the end? Millions of people die. He thinks for the sake of heaven. Reality was for the sake of his ego. So now they're coming to fight against Moshe Rabbeinu. After all this, Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Datan and Aviram after the demonstration, after he got humiliated, after he was embarrassed by them, after they blamed him for all kinds of false accusation. After all that, the leader of the Jewish nation, the most legendary person in the history of this world, the only one that spoke to Hashem face to face, the greatest person in the history, he goes to these wicked lowlifes and try to make it up to them that maybe they calm down and they can make peace. And what do? Okay, well, you got what you want. What? It's like today, you see? I brought him down on my knees. He came all the way to my home to ask me for mechila. You see? He knows he's wrong. No, okay, fine. So he came and asked you mechila. Why you don't stop? Why you don't stop? Fine, he surrendered. Finally, he surrendered. You got what you wanted. Stop the argument. Such high level of ego. Usually on a highway, I always give this example. Two people want to merge into the highway from the service road. There's 2 lanes, and then it turns into one. Everybody try to push first. Like it's going to save them 2 seconds. If he goes first or you go first. Well, what's the big deal? 2 cars, each one try to go first. And they look at each other, and this gun is with his hand on a baseball bat, the other one is pulling to the gun. They already, 1 more second, the 2 mirrors would collide. And then you know what would happen. Oh, he opens the car, he comes out in front of everyone, smash the car. I don't have to tell you what's happened. So I always say, try it a different way. You try to push in, go like this. S'il vous plaît. Go. What happened to his ego usually? No, you go. Oh, so that's a guy that his ego is still a little bit under control. You surrender, he gives up. It's all about who will surrender. As soon as you bow down to him, he bow down to you also. You know, that's how it is, like in the elevator. Everyone is pushed. The elevator is about to there's 50 people, there's only room for 4. Everyone is pushing. So you say to them, okay, it's okay, you can go in front of me. No, you were here first. Right? But here with these people, it doesn't work. Moshe goes because he knows that it's going to bring a destruction to the Jewish people. He's a responsible leader. He doesn't think about his reputation, about his name. He wants to close the fight, to finish it. And he comes to them. And Rashi writes, based on the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, page Kuf Yud, 110, the words of Chazal, En machzikim b'machloket. Don't hold to the disagreement. The word disagreement is a tricky word. It's not describing exactly what machloket means. Disagreement, it's too pleasant. When the Torah means machloket, means a disagreement with fight, with arrogance, with lashon hara, with things like this is called machloket. So, אין מחזיקים במחלוקת. שהיה משה מחזר אחריהם, אחרי דתן and אבירם, להשלימם בדברי שלום. Don't hold to the disagreement. You learn from Moshe. He went and tried to convince them to make peace. What does it mean, אין מחזיקים במחלוקת? Meaning, sometimes the disagreement begins, and some words were said, and then you answer, and he answers. You say, you know what, there's not going to be an end to it. I will answer, he will answer. Even though I'm right, let's put an end to it. That's a positive thinking. Why? Because now you say to Hashem, you know I'm right, but I'm going to give up anyway. Why? Because what will I gain? I'll be right in the end, but there will be a lot of casualties. So what will I gain by that? To be right? In Israel, they made a commercial for transportation. There's a lot of accidents. More accidents in Israel than any other country in the world. Even though they keep improving the roads non-stop. They're making new roads, wider, with lights. More accidents than any other country in the world, statistically. Last night I got to the statistic. 160 accidents were caused last year because of people texting and driving. 77 people die while texting. In a country like Israel, 77 dead from texting and driving. And they show on a commercial how a woman texts, and some people, when they text, automatically the world doesn't exist. Their hands goes like this, and they forget that the world exists. Some people, they can do 2 things at the same time. Still doesn't mean they're allowed to do it. But at least when they do one thing, they can still remember and concentrate on a second thing. But there are people, as soon as they begin with one thing, their brain freezes. like a fish. Has a little brain. Once you do one thing, don't disturb me with anything else. Why? I'm going to lose focus. And you can see how two cars driving, and all of a sudden her car is going all the way to the other lane, and psh, and high speed. Horrible accident that ended with 3 wounded, heavy. Nobody died, at least, in that accident. 77 died just from that. Lots of accidents. Why in Israel there's so many accidents? Because the rest of the world, you're allowed to drive whenever you want. In Israel, you're only allowed to drive 6 days. 7th day, you're not allowed to drive. You drive, you make Hashem angry. Most of the accidents in Israel on Shabbat. Of course, never coincidence. Follow the statistic, you'll see Hashem in between the numbers. Most of the accidents on Shabbat. Most of them. Now, if you come and tell me, well, Rabbi, Shabbat is a vacation day. I mean, people go to places. I have news for you, the other way around. In Shabbat, there's less traffic. On the highways, 6 days a week, tons of trucks, tons of scooters, messengers, because all businesses working. Heavy traffic all day long. But on Shabbat, many people don't walk. They don't drive. They walk to the beach, or they go to places. And even if they drive a short drive, and they spend hours in a mall or whatever they go to the pool or to a sport game, less cars on the street, not more, because you don't have all the business, all the cars that you don't have. No public transportation, no buses. Still more accidents than any other day of the week. So Moshe is trying to convince them to put, let's end it. Why? We're not going to get anything out of it. But they don't surrender and they continue. Now, what does it mean, machzikim b'machloket? As one thing to start the disagreement, and as one thing to maintain it. The Gemara say you're not allowed to maintain the Machloket. Why? Sometimes the Machloket opens legally. You say one thing and he say the opposite. Two opposite opinions. Legally, it's normal. It can happen all the time. Even between holy people, there's disagreements. But after the problems begin and all the dirt begin to float, now you have to be a hero and to put an end to it. Lord, not to continue to maintain. To maintain sometimes is worse than to start a machloket. Who maintained the machlokot? The people. Not always the people that started it. Sometimes 2 people started the machloket, and an hour later they already reached peace. But the people continue to maintain it for 30 years, especially with the media today. They already became brothers. But the people continue to spill poison non-stop, and it only gets worse, and more people make up lies, and they add details to the machloket. 30 years later, the guy reads and says, wow, that wasn't even the argument. How did they get to this? We were speaking about something else, b'chlal. Happens all the time. So they say to Moshe Rabbeinu, you want to poke our eyes like you do to the elder people? You're fooling your government. You and the 70 elder people, they are in your pocket. You control them, you made them blind. We won't let you make us blind like you did to them. That's what I tell him. And then we continue. The Gemara says in Masechet Sanhedrin, it says like this. If you maintain the Machloket, velo yeh keKorach ve'adato. Don't be like Korach and his group. שנאמר, what we say, ויקום משה וילך אל דתן ואבירם, מכאן שאין מחזיקים במחלוקת, שמשה מחל על כבודו. Moshe forgave his honor. Why? Let's make peace. Even though I'm right, it doesn't matter. Better to make peace. Okay. Then we continue. The Naziv Mivolozhin, Rav Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, spoke very, very strongly against people in different communities that allow themselves to make all kinds of big machlokot when it comes to rabbanut, to rabbinical issues. For instance, when finally one rabbi was nominated, they begin to attack him. Before he was nominated, that's okay, it's perfectly fine. As soon as he got a job, they begin to attack him. Why are you attacking him? If it's not kosher, it's a different story. Now it's a threat for Judaism, for religion. That's a different story. But if he's an Orthodox, fine. He's been around for 20 years. Nobody made a peep against him. Everything was fine. As soon as he got a job, the jealousy began to rise. Why not me? Why not my brother? And right there, they begin to ruin his reputation. Not only that, it says like this. The Netziv said there are two kinds of disagreements. A, those who mean for personal gain, nothing to do with the truth, only how to raise my status, to promote myself. That's one kind of, and they don't care what's going to happen, casualties, people, lashon hara, murder, they don't care what's happened, as long as they reach their goal, while they're stepping on people's body. That's one kind of disagreement. And the second kind of disagreement is people who really believe that what they do is for the sake of heaven. That we have to fight l'shem shamayim. Machloket Korach and Adato, which one of the two it was? The disagreement with Korach and his group, was it for this personal gain or for l'shem shamayim? Korach for sure for personal gain. There's no question. What about the rest of the 250 Rashi Sanhedriot? What about the other 250 chief rabbis that came along with him? They also all have ego and pride and jealousy? No. He was able to fool them and pretend that there is a cause. They all thought that the cause makes sense, and they joined him to back him up innocently, thinking we are doing a mitzvah now. This is how he brainwashed them. So the group, besides Datan and Aviram, they hated Moshe personally already from Egypt. They are the reason that Moshe had to escape from Egypt. When they were fighting and he came to break it up, they told him, oh, you want to kill me like you killed the Egyptian? So the liberal Jews hit again. We're going to tell the police. I'll call Obama on you. I'll call the FBI. What do? You have to leave America. What? This Jew will tell about you to the authorities. He never heard of a restriction not to be a moiser. Many Jews, they tell about, not many, I hope not many, I hope, but for sure it exists. They tell about each other to the authorities. They call the IRS. You want to catch someone? Go to this place. You want to catch this one? Go to this place. FBI, I have an anonymous tip. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, you're going to see. There's a Jew smuggling 1,000 of mezuzahs in his trunk under the spare tire. Wait for him in this corner, 3 o'clock. Who is this? He goes, who did it? The competition. He wants to sell his product. He makes sure they catch him. All kinds of things like this. It exists here, it exists in Israel. In Israel, they open an 800 line. And they put a commercial on television. Call now! Malshinon. You heard about it or no? Malshinon. How do you say when a person tells about his friend to someone else? Malshin. Malshan. They open an 800 line. Malshinon. Place that you can be a malshin, even though it's a very big sin from the Torah. And we will give you 10% from how much we catch. The Israeli IRS. You give them a good tip, they call a person, they want 1 million shekel from him, you'll get 100,000 shekel. Some people don't have emunah in Hashem. They want to make their money in such a dirty way. They told about their own brothers. People were calling about their own brothers, partners with them in the same business. What? Because they knew, and they gave them enough information, what accounts, where to catch the money. And as soon as they caught the money, they took 10% and they lost their olam haba, and they cannot be a part of the minyan, people like this. And אנחנו מצטרפים למניין. Can't let them enter the shul בכלל. People like this. מוסר, המוסרים, האפיקורסים, המינים, all this kind of group lose their share to the world to come. It's no joke. Instead of making peace and harmony between the nation and put commercials that eliminate racism, put commercials that make the people more down to earth, put commercials about the need to be united against the threats against 2 billion Arabs who seek for our destruction every minute. Instead of putting this kind of commercials, what do? Make fights between families, breaking families between father and son, between two brothers, between neighbors, between partners, that if anyone like each other for a change, that also will be gone. Everyone will hate everyone. Not thinking about the destruction it brings to us in the next war. Because you go to a war and the soldiers don't like each other, you lose. Even if you keep mitzvot. The Gemara says Achav and his soldiers, they used to go to a war and win, even though they're idol worshippers, wicked people. How do they win? They're unity. All the wicked people united. And when the righteous people go to the war and they're not united, they sometimes lose. We see that unity is a very, very important in the eyes of Hashem. So the Netziv continue, and he says like this. The second group, they really mean for the sake of heaven. Korach ben Yitzhar wanted for his personal gain. And that's how he was waking up everyone to join him. The 250 chief rabbi who followed him did not ask anything for themselves. There was nothing personal between them and Moshe. They believed the cause. They were worried that maybe Moshe is giving jobs to his relative, not according to the instructions of Hashem. Politics. Why you nominate your brother to be a Kohen? What's going on? It's one thing, we know Hashem made you a leader. But now when you got the power, you begin to do whatever you want? No, we disagree with that. But Korach is only for himself. And don't forget that Korach is the richest person in the world at that time. He has so much money. He's a billionaire. He's also from Shevet Levi. He gets a lot of kavod. There's only one person right now, two, Moshe and Aaron, that has a higher position than him. Other than this, you're one of the most important people in the land. What do you care? You have everything a person can dream about. But he had a wife, a jealous wife. Sometimes a person takes the advice of his wife and they get destroyed. Sometimes a person gets the advice of his wife and gets saved. So his wife continued to instigate. A lot of the families, they have fights in the businesses, in a partnership because of the wives. The two brothers, they get along. They started the business from nothing and it was very successful. They don't jealous with each other. They're happy that they both make money until one or both wives begin. Why did he get this? Why he get himself this? Why you more hours in a business? Sometimes they have points that they're right about. But is it clever to talk? Sometimes people send me emails with questions like this. I say, even though from what you say, you're right, but think about what would happen now. You would win the argument, but you will lose all the business. I'm sure that's not what you want. So what do you suggest? That I'm going to continue to eat my heart? Yes, eat your heart and take the money. Better not to eat your heart and be poor? What's the other alternative? Oh, you're right, I never thought of it. What do you want? The drive to destroy the other is sometimes greater than your personal gain. Like, you know the story that Eliyahu Navi came to someone and he said to him, listen, today it's your lucky day. Whatever you want from me today, I'm giving you. But I want you to know that I give this enemy of yours double. You ask me $1 million, I give him $2 million. You ask me $1 billion, I give him $2 billion. You want a car, I give him 2 cars. So he said to him, oh yeah? Please take one of my eyes out. At least with one eye I can manage. You take both of his eyes.
Interesting.
The Chafetz Chaim, Rav Israel Meir HaKohen Miradin, he says like this, חובה קדושה מוטלת על האדם שלא להחזיק במחלוקת. There's a holy obligation for the human being not to maintain and to stick to the disagreement. אפילו הדין והצדק עמו, even though you're 100% right, still there's no point of winning the argument. Sometimes better to lose it to make peace. And don't worry, Hashem, He's watching and remembering everything. There's nothing you give up or you give in to somebody and Hashem did not see it and will not reward you for that. 100%, it's just a matter of time until you cash on you willing to give up. Same thing when you want to pray in a shul, you have a yortzeit, and someone else has the same date, yortzeit, same date. Tell me when to smile. Someone else has a date.
Only my wife let me come.
Yeah, to take pictures.
A couple videos.
You can give me your email. I send you pictures. So what happened is, so the Chafetz Chaim is saying, a person, even though he's right, better to give up. So sometimes 2 people come to shul, they have yortzeit at the same date. And they begin to fight. They come to the Gabbai. It's my turn today. He asked me first. Oh, what's going on here? Because he give more donations to the shul, he always gonna pray. No, I'm not letting him. I don't care. When the time comes, I begin to say. And sometimes there's fight, mamash fights. But the people don't use their head. It's really foolish. It's really foolish. You say, Hashem, you know I wanted to do that. Somebody else does it. I give up. I sit down. What do you think will help your father more? To fight and push, and in the end you're going to pray, Ashrei Yoshev Betecha, which Hashem doesn't accept it anyway after the way you behave. Or to say, okay, somebody else, you go first. What do you think will help your deceased father better? This or this? If Hashem brings your father now, you say, I want you to see your son. Get out of here, I'll break the place. Oh, no problem, Rabbi. Here you go, he can go first. What a nice son you have. Look how he's giving in. It's no problem. Sit quietly. Now I will elevate your soul thanks to the behaving of your son. Or pushing, fighting, and one thing leads to another. Hashem Yirachem. I saw a story. There was Rav Seligman in Germany in the time when the Reform movement started. The Reform people started to fight Orthodox Judaism. In case you don't know what Reform is, when they started, it looked 100% like Orthodox extra Haredi in the beginning. Because they only changed one tiny thing. When it comes to mitzvah tzitzit, they made a little change. They said it's not relevant anymore. 200 years later, today they marry men with men, they marry Jews with goyim, they mechalel Shabbat, they eat chazir, they eat pork, they eat on Yom Kippur, and they marry even to dogs. Yes, they call the rabbi to marry her to her dog. You understand? And they do bar mitzvah to dogs. They do bar mitzvah to dogs. They put a nice red yarmulke on the head of the dog. Tefillin, Hashem Yirachem. Putting the name of Hashem on the filthiest animal in a creation. Even worse than a pig. From 2 million species, which animal Hashem say, I don't want the value of it as a donation to my home? Only dog. Any other animal, if you sell it, you have a horse, you sold it for $1,000, you can donate your money to Bet HaMikdash. You have a pig, you sold the pig to Vladimir. Vladimir, while he was eating the pork, paid you $1,000. Now you take the $1,000, say, Aaron HaKohen, por favor, here, $1,000 donation. Where you got $1,000 from? I sold my pig to Vladimir. No problem. Chazak u'baruch. Then a person has a nice dog. He sells the dog. He says, Rabbi, please donation to Bet HaMikdash. Not allowed. The Torah says not allowed. So on that animal, they put the name of Hashem, the Tefillin, one of the 3 covenants that Hashem made with us. And then he called himself a rabbi. You understand what's going on here? This is what the reform became. It wasn't like this all the time. But in the beginning, the Orthodox rabbi saw where it's going to. So Rav Seligman was fighting them. One time he went to sleep. He has a dream. While he's dreaming, somebody with a very holy face came to him and said to him, I want you to go to the priest, the Christian priest, and teach him all the laws of slaughtering, the laws of shechita. Teach him how to slaughter the cows, the sheep, according to the halacha, how to check the knife, where to cut, what to check. He said to himself, even though it's a very strange dream, why would I have to go and teach the Christian priest the laws of shechita? But he says, since it's a very unique dream with a message, has to be something coming up. He went and did it. He went to the Komer and he asked him, tell me, would you like to learn all the laws of slaughtering? How the Jews slaughter and why Hashem did it and this. The Goy usually doesn't have Yetzer Hara like a Jew. As soon as you offer him to teach him something from Torah, of course, when, Rabbi? You come to Itzik, there's a Shiur Torah, you coming? No, there's a Final Four today, Rabbi. Can you do it tomorrow, the Shiur? Yetzer Hara, that's it, Yetzer Hara. The Christian agree. And he started to teach him all the laws. After he learned everything, one day the Reform went to the secular court with a petition. They want to take over the supervision of the shchitot in town, of the slaughtering. They eat pork. How they got to supervise the shchita? It's unheard of. They want to take it's good business. Today in Israel, everyone fights about it. Everyone speaks Lashon Hara about everyone. He's not good, he's taref, they're not good, you cannot get good meat over there. Most of the Lashon Hara and the Motzi Shem Ra is motivate them from their greed. There's millions of dollars every year in this industry. Everybody speaks bad about the other. If you check, you find that a lot of the things they say, it's mamash and intentional lies. Completely. I remember many years ago, I spoke to one mashgiach, speaking about one group, one supervision of Bet Yosef meat. He told me if I would be Sfaradi, I would be afraid to eat from there because it's safek taref. 50-50. Maybe it's kosher, maybe Hashem Yerachem. It's not kosher at all. 10 years later, the person that told me about him, because he's their competition, was caught in scam. While he was telling me about them, he was actually committing scams on a daily basis. This is how it goes. Greed blind the person and tighten their heart from seeing the truth. As soon as you begin to get paid for the mitzvah, you cannot become objective anymore. You should remember this. That's why it's very, very important always to agree to do mitzvot for the public for free. Never to make a price. Never. They give you fine. They don't give you fine. Hashem is paying everyone anyway. He will do what he has to do. Don't worry about it. If you like this, the chance that chas v'shalom you become corrupted always exists, but in much, much, much lower. So what happened? The Reforms went to the court, and the court told them, since it's Orthodox against Reform, we have to find an objective third party to rule between you. So I'm nominating the Christian priest in town to be the judge between you, because I'm a secular judge. I don't know anything about slaughtering and Torah. The priest, the Father John, he will know. So they nominate Father John to decide if the Reform will do the supervision or the Orthodox.
They refunded a million times more.
Huh?
They refunded Torah a million times more. How they get a rule?
So, wait. You're asking a good point. Well, Father John, what does he know? If the rabbi wouldn't teach him Vashchita, he would even know how to hold a knife. Whatever. No. So the point was that he asked him, what are the 5 things that canceling the kashrut of the shchita? That if it happens, it makes the animal not kosher. 5 things. And the Reform, he never heard in his life such thing. He looked at him like this. You know how the kids are when you ask them a question? You know? So he told him, what are the 5 things? What are the 5 things? Do you know what are the 5 things that make the animal not kosher? Oh, it's just as bad as the Reform. The answer is, 1, if you don't do it in one shot, you go like this, slowly and stop, then it's not good. Or if you chop the head off in one shot with a sharp sword, that's not good. You have to cut in one shot, but not chop the whole head off. Then if you do the shchita by pushing the knife, push it in first, like stabbing, and then cutting. Also makes it not kosher. Then, if you slaughter the animal, but not by going with a knife from side to side, by hitting, pack, you hit it, it's very sharp. You don't chop the head off, half of it, boom, in the right place. Instead of going like that, you hit it, also it's not kosher. And the 5th problem is if you did not put in the right place, because you have to know exactly where to cut. And it has to be straight, not tilted like this, and you have to check the knife that it doesn't have bumps, because sometimes after the knife you put it up and down, it's enough that it has a little tiny bump or a little hole, a dent in it. That dent will rip the entire neck. When instead of going smooth, that will make the animal suffer for a few more seconds. While it's sharp, the animal doesn't feel anything. It's very interesting. In some countries, they wanted to forbid kosher meat. Some countries is against the law, kosher meat. But in other countries, they wanted to forbid it. So they took the Jews to court. And they say, why the Jews think that their slaughtering it's safe for the animal, that the animal do not suffer, don't feel any pain. The animals have 2 cords in the front that sends blood to the brain, and they have 2 reserve ones in the back. When the Jews slaughter the front, the brain continues to receive blood for a few more minutes from the back, and the animal is going crazy with pain. And look how the animal is moving after the slaughtering. So there is 4 or 5 minutes of horrible torture to the animal. When we blow the head off, back in the day, they used to have a rocket gun. They shoot in the forehead of the cow, explode the brain. No nerve. As soon as the brain explodes, the animal doesn't suffer. That was the argument in court. So the Jews came to the court, and the Jews say to the judge, we go by divine laws. We did not invent the slaughtering. Same Torah that you as a Christian judge believe in, that's the Torah we have. So the judge say, where does it say it in the Torah? And the truth is, in a written Torah, it doesn't say it. Only in the oral Torah. Now, what do you expect from a non-Jewish judge? To believe in the oral Torah when 80% of the Jews in the world question it? Oral Torah, you're making it up. You, the rabbis, made it up. I want to see in my Bible, where does it say it? That you have to slaughter the animal like this. So the Jews told the judge, there's a list of animals that the Torah allowed the Jews to eat. Cow, sheep, giraffe, deer. They're all kosher, bison. There's a list of animals that are kosher. And there is millions of other animals that are not kosher. Check the entire nature. The only animals that the Torah allowed the Jews to eat have only 2 cords in the front and no reserve in the back. Then you know it's a divine oral Torah. Pig, 2 in the back. Horse, 2 in the back. Monkey, 2 in the back. Deer, sheep, cows, only 2 in the front. Shh, nothing, no feeling. So why are the animals still moving? I'll tell you why. A person connects his computer to the internet. He has wireless internet. And he begins a download. And now he wants to watch a clip. The download finished. No, it's streaming. Now it's this kind of download that it's really not going into your computer. While you're watching it, it's screaming. And the internet stopped. No more internet. As soon as the internet stopped, the video play another 5-6 seconds. Why? That was already sent. Before the internet was cut, some of the information was sent already. So even though the internet, it shows you the red light, no internet, it continued to play for another 20 seconds. That's exactly what happened when you slaughter an animal. The brain always sends signal to the nerve system, constantly. Why? To check if there's a problem, automatically the pain begins. As soon as they cut the neck, there was already signal that was sent before the cutting, which continued to travel in the body. And as soon as now there is a problem in the body, all the nerve system go crazy. But the animal doesn't feel anything. It's reflex. Reflex. 100%. So the animals do not suffer when you do shechita. So this priest asked the Reform, he said, do you know what are the 5 things that making the shechita not kosher? He had no idea what it is. And he ruled that only Orthodox people will be in charge of the meat. And Baruch Hashem, Ha'ir Shushan Tza'ala V'Samecha. He was happy, Baruch Hashem. Speaking about this, one robber came to a Jew with a gun. Give me your wallet. Give me your money. Now the poor Jew has a wallet full of money. So the Jew told him, listen, this money is not mine, I'm a salesman. Now, because of you, I'm going to lose my job. Can you do me at least a favor, since you're robbing my boss money? At least I'm going to take my jacket off. I'll put it on a tree. I want you to shoot a few bullets in a jacket that when I come to my boss, he'll believe me that I'm not the one who stole the money. At least do a mitzvah. Some thieves, they have a little bit mercy. Sometimes people steal from lack of emunah. It doesn't mean they are cruel. It's nothing personal against the victim. They just want for themselves money. If they could find the money on the street, they would rather find it than steal it from someone. There's one rabbi in Israel who was teaching his grandkids every Thursday night Parashat Shavua. Routine. 8 o'clock, they all come to his home. He sits with them with the Chumash, teaching them the Parsha with Rashi. One time his wife told him, maybe today you tell them to come tomorrow, but I need you to go to the market. The house is empty. We don't have one thing in the fridge. I cannot even start cooking. I don't want to do all the cooking tomorrow, Friday. Go today, buy everything, and then, you do the shiur tomorrow. He said to her, with all due respect, my wife, the Torah, this is the way it is. We cannot postpone the shiur. So, as he finished his shiur, 10 o'clock, All the grandchildren left the house. A minute later, someone knocked on his door. He thought one of the grandchildren forgot something. So he opened the door. A robber with something on his mask on his face, with a gun. Give me all your money, Grandpa. Don't make me shoot. So he said to him, "What? You know, oh, you came to me. You know the Moroccan, old-fashioned old people? You come to me." In Hebrew, it sounds better. "You come to me. We don't have what to eat. Tomorrow is Shabbat. I'm reading Tehillim all day. Maybe Hashem send me money for Shabbat. Come," he said to the robber. Come. He opened the fridge. Look, empty. Look, the closet. We don't have what to eat. You come to rob me. The robber took 200 shekels. He said, "Here, money for Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom." What happened in Israel? Only in Israel. A Jewish thief. אפילו שהוא גנב, יש לו לב של יהודי. So now, the Jew tells this robber, shoot on my jacket. At least my boss will not suspect me. So, okay, put the jacket on a tree. Shoots on a jacket. He said to him, wait, don't go. My hat also. His hat, he puts it on the thing. Shoot the hat. One more, no. No bullets. No more bullets. The Jew jumped on him. Boom, bam, boom, bam. Got him on the floor. Took the gun from his hand, broke his head off, and took all the money away. You understand? Even to be a thief, you have to have a brain. Now the question after the police came and they took the robber into custody, the Jew sued him for the jacket and for the hat. What's the halacha? Does he have to pay or no? He told him, it's your fault. The only way for me to save my money was through that. Therefore, you caused me that damage. And the robber said, come on, don't exaggerate. You asked me to shoot. He said, did I have a choice? I just imagine how it was. They sit in a bed din in front of the rabbi. What do you think the halacha is? He has to pay him or no? For the jacket and for the hat? The answer is, the bed din doesn't have the power to force him to pay. But he's still guilty in Shamayim. Because the damage indirectly was caused as results of his crime. So even when you affect people indirectly, which they cannot sue you in this world, but in Shamayim Hashem writes guilty. Chayav bedinei Shamayim. Before we forget about Korach, let's see some of the interesting things that we still have to clarify before time runs out. In this shul, it's always 8:45. I like it. It's 8:45 until tomorrow. Baruch Hashem. We have a few questions about this parasha. Why the Torah is telling us the genealogy of Korach and all the others? Why? That's one question. Then we see Korach went specially to call Datan and Aviram. And then we see the entire rebellions of Korach against Moshe. All the complaints until this day came from the Asafsuf and from the Erev Rav. All the problems that Moshe had so far is actually as results of his choice. He took the Egyptians and made them Jews, converts. You converted them without consulting with me. They are the one who will drink your blood with a straw. They will never give you, they'll never give you a rest. That's what happened. But now it's a different kind of argument. It's not, where is the water, why we don't have meat, why you took us out of Egypt. None of this. Now, all the other arguments were all materialistic issues. They complain about life is hard. Why did we have to follow you to here? Why you brought us here? There's nothing to drink. But over here, it's a challenge against the control, the kingdom. Nothing to do with the situation. Korach was taking advantage on a time after the spies, what just happened with the spies, that Hashem already said that everyone older than 20 will die and will not enter Israel. It was a well-known thing already. So the people were already very angry with Hashem. The people were very angry. You took us out of Egypt, and now in the end we're not going to enter Israel. So they're full of fire. What was the whole point? I should have stayed in Egypt. I left Beverly Hills to come to the desert, and now in the end I'm not even going to where I was promised. I got messed up from both sides. So he said to the tribe of Reuven, Reuven was the firstborn of Yaakov, Abechor. He said, you deserve control and good jobs in a leadership. He was using them because he wanted to replace Moshe and Aaron, as we said before. Moshe knew that even though the people who come against him, they have important genealogy, they come from important background, their power really is with the Erev Rav. Why? From 600,000 men, only 250 people agreed to go with them, with Korach, even though he was a very smooth talker. Only 250 people. What is it? It's not even 1% of the people. But Moshe was afraid of the Erev Rav. He was fed up to here already with the problems that they did. So the last thing Moshe wants is that the thousands of Erev Rav will join Korach and make a revolution. How many people were the Erev Rav? How many Egyptians came out of Egypt with the Jews? Do you know the numbers? Huh? One opinion that it was 600,000, just like the amount of Israel. Became half and half. Today we see that this opinion is very close to the truth. Because you look at Israel. Half of Israel, right-wing, against Hamas, pro-tradition or religion, respect rabbis, etc. And the other half, liberal, lefties, pro-Hamas, hate Torah, hate rabbis, hate Kedusha, hate everything. You see, you can divide the country into two halves. And the Zohar already told us before Mashiach would come, the land will be controlled by the children of those Erev Rav. They control in the government, the newspapers, the media. And if it was half and half, more or less, it's probably half and half today. Now you wonder, how can it be that half of Israel are pro-Hamas? How can it be? Just one of them 2 days ago said, it's mamash, you read and you cannot believe that you're reading it. We did not give enough to the Hamas. We have to do some gestures to them. You believe such thing or no? She sits in a Knesset. She sits in a Knesset. So Moshe Rabbeinu, there's one opinion that 600,000 were the Erev Rav. What was the other opinion? 1.2 million, double. Which means the Jews that came out of Egypt was a third. 2/3 was the Erev Rav. So Moshe came to the ones that leads the Erev Rav. Who are the leaders of the Erev Rav? Who are the heroes that control them all the Erev Rav? Datan and Aviram. Datan and Aviram are the leaders of the Erev Rav. Who made the golden calf? The Erev Rav. Who threw everything into the fire? When Aaron threw all the gold into the fire, who said Kishufim, names? Datan and Aviram. It's amazing. The problem started with Datan and Aviram back in Mitzrayim already. They are the one who caused Moshe to fled out of Mitzrayim, to lose his palace and his status and his kingdom, to run to Midian. They are the one that now instigate against him again. So Moshe came to them to try to convince them to keep the public down, not to start a big war now. And in Egypt, they told him, Mi samcha leish sar veshofet alenu. Who put you a minister and a judge on top of us to tell us to hit each other or not? And now they say, Ki tistarer alenu gam tistarer. You want srara? You want control? And then in another time they told him, Ameat ki elitanu me'eretz zavat chalav udvash. You took us out of the real land of milk and honey. You understand what's going on here? They were in Auschwitz. Literally, Egypt wasn't anything better. If they take your babies and kill them in front of your eyes, it cannot be better than Auschwitz, no? And they hit you day and night, and you work 16 hours a day with starvation, when you used to have beautiful mansions in Egypt, and the leader of Egypt, the financial treasurer, was Yosef from your own country. He controls all the money, and he sends you budget. You get free Section 8, free food stamps, free everything. All of a sudden, they put you in cages like dogs, and they kill your children. It's horrible. So what do they say now? You took us out of the land of milk and honey. Try to imagine such a thing. There has to be a limit how sleazy a person can be, no? Has to be a limit. What, there's no limit? Imagine someone, chas v'shalom, I'm afraid even to say it, someone who came out of Auschwitz on the way on a boat to America, there's a little bit crisis. So he screamed at the captain, shame on you! Why are you taking us to America? The real America was in Auschwitz. Take us back there. What would they say? Don't take him to America. Take him to a mental institution directly. He lost his mind, poor guy, no? But this is the leaders. Why you took us out of the land? Plus, don't forget that all the Jews who wanted to stay in Egypt after the slavery finished, and after Hashem destroyed Egypt, all of them died. 80% died. So no matter how you look at that, why would you want to stay in Egypt? The answer is when you have an agenda, listen, it happens every second in today's life, every second. First, a person chooses to hate you. First, a person is jealous with you. First, a person doesn't like your success. And now he begins to shoot excuses who have nothing to do with reality. Nothing to do with reality, bichlal. You took us out of the land of milk and honey. What milk and honey? It's even normal to even say such thing. Doesn't matter. Let's just keep the fight going. That's called in Hebrew itlahamut. Mitlahamim. Nobody listens. I made a lecture a week ago. Hearing half, understanding a quarter, and responding double. You hear an hour of a speech, you only hear really half an hour. From the half an hour, you understand half. Meaning now only 15 minutes from the lecture you understood. A little bit here, a little bit there, and you come in to non-stop. When the Gemara say there are two kinds of Machlokot, for the sake of heaven and none for the sake of heaven. And they give an example of Shammai and Hillel. Shammai and Hillel. Why the Gemara didn't say Machloket Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel? Shammai had his yeshiva and Hillel has his yeshiva, and it was two big yeshivot that had a lot of arguments between them. They had many arguments between them, almost in every subject. The most famous machloket between them was if it was worth it for a human being to be created or not. And this machloket took 2.5 years of back and forth arguments. They're arguing, well, if it would be today, maybe it will be 2.5 days instead of 2.5 years. Why? You have your emails. Send. For every send over there was 2 months. Somebody on a donkey. And until they write, it's not like this. 1 second, the whole book is finished. Over there, Feder, Dear Rabbi Hillel.
Didn't they have pigeons?
Pigeons?
They had pigeons.
Yeah, pigeons. Pigeons, sometimes it arrives, sometimes not. Like the post office in Mexico. Some of the CDs I send arrive, some of them arrive to King Hussein. Depend on their mood of the amigos in Mexico. They had cerveza for breakfast. They didn't have...
They were raising pigeons at the time.
Yeah. So the Chachamim, 2.5 years, they argue. If it's good for the person to come to the world or not, in the end, they agree it was better not to come to the world. But it's not like this. In Hebrew, it sounds more precise. Noach lo, im noach lo la'adam sheba o shelo. Noach means comfortable. In the end, they say, no, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable for the person that he came to the world. This is a very big mystery, this Machloket. How can it be such thing? Hashem put people in the world and you're sitting, it looks like chutzpah, chas v'chalila. You're challenging if Hashem did right or wrong. And after 2.5 years, they should have said, of course, if Hashem wanted a person to come to the world, of course it's good. What did they say? No! It's chas v'shalom a mistake, better not to come. But now, like they say in America, if you can beat him, join him. Since we are stuck with this, right, there's nothing we can do, we might as well get as much as we can from it. Well, are we going to get punished? We can win, so we might as well listen to him. ויפשפש במעשיו, ויש אומרים ימשמש במעשיו. יפשפש במעשיו means like you take a tweezer. Back in the day, they used to have lice in the clothing. Not that far. When I was a soldier, that's how in the blankets we had lice. And the lice go in the skin, in the body, not in the hair. It's 2 different lice. Under the skin. It's horrible. It's itching and this. They have to take it out one by one. So it's like a leech. So these flies, skarziot, flies. So they say, so when you look in a blanket, back in the day, they didn't have electric, so they had a candle or they put it in the sun, and they look for them and they pick them one by one. So this is what the Gemara say: you should check your life like with the tweezer and a magnifying glass. Check what you do right or wrong. And then the second opinion is yemashmesh b'ma'asav. Yemashmesh comes from the word mamash. Mamash means something real. What do you mean? Already you have it. Even what you have, you still have to examine all the time. What you have was for the sake of heaven. How can I improve it? After 2.5 years, the argument was finished. Shammai and Hillel, the argument started after they passed away between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. The arguments between their student was not 100% for the sake of heaven. That's why the Gemara did not say the arguments of Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel are for the sake of heaven. Only the argument of Shammai and Hillel was for the sake of heaven. Their students, maybe not one, maybe 90%, maybe 95%. How do we know it? The Gemara writes, שלא שימשו מספיק. They learned a lot of Torah, they knew a lot of Torah, but they didn't have enough experience because they were not attached to the rabbi constantly to learn from him on everyday life. It's one thing to learn theoretically. You learn a lot of books, but you don't actually attach to a posek that you see how he behaves. It's like learning medicine. You learn everything you know. You know about the heart, you know about the lung, you know about the veins, you know about the nerve system, you know a little bit about the brain. But you don't know how to touch a tweezer and a scissor or a knife because you don't know, because you've never been in a surgery room. 3-4 months in a surgery room from morning to night, you learn a lot more than what you learn in school because it's practical. They didn't have enough practical experience. That's where the mistakes began. That's when they started to argue and came to different conclusions. You should know one thing. The Gemara say, Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, they were both big chachamim. Halacha, it's like who? Like Bet Hillel. Why, if they both equally high scholars, why the halacha always like Bet Hillel? Automatically. Why? The answer is, you should have said, sometimes halacha is like Hillel, sometimes halacha is like Shammai. Why always like Hillel? The answer, because he's humbled. Like Moshe Rabbeinu, down to earth. I want to ask you a question. What's the connection between the fact that he's shy and down to earth and humbled to the truth? Sometimes a humble person argue with an arrogant person, and the arrogant person make a better claim. We didn't see cases like this. The righteous person say one thing, the wicked person say one thing. In the end, we see the wicked person in this particular matter was right. Always the righteous person will aim to the truth, and the wicked will always aim to the false. It cannot be. The answer is, when you humbled, Hashem has incentive to help you to aim to the truth. Not that you're smarter. Maybe the arrogant is sharper than you. Maybe he's more brilliant than you. Maybe his memory is better than you. Maybe. One thing it is for sure. You down to earth. You give your life for the sake of heaven. Not for ego. Not for show off. Not for money. None of the above. Then we know Hashem will always help you to find the right answer. Because that's his incentive. Because you are a true servant of Hashem. But if you do it for yourself, not always Hashem would like to give the right answer through your mouth. Because Hashem knows what you're doing. You only care about yourself, not. And what's the proof for that? Whenever you see a person that is considered to be righteous and holy and religious or whatever you want to call it, if one day he fights against the cause that he represents because of politics, then you know everything that he was doing until now was not for the sake of heaven. Do you understand what I say or no? If a person constantly speaks about chesed, 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 we have to make Hashem happy. He open an organization, collect donation, chesed, chesed. Then there's someone else open a competition. Another organization of chesed to help also the poor. So Hashem is very happy. Finally, there's a group who helps over here, and there's a group who helps over there. So the poor people have Baruch Hashem a little bit more. But the first one begin a war against him. He's a thief. Don't give him. Don't listen to him. His food is not kosher. All lies. Why? Because his ego is bleeding. Somebody else take away now the honor from him. The honor was all his, now he goes 50-50. He cannot leave, he cannot sleep at night. So from here you see that he's a crook. Because if he was real, he should have been very happy that what I give my life for to help the poor, now Baruch Hashem will be done doubled. Right? if soldier goes to protect the land, right? So the Air Force are achieving victories in a war. And the tanks are also achieving victories in a war. If the Air Force get jealous with the tanks, that they're also helping the country to survive, and they turn around and bomb them, the fact that before they were gaining achievements, was it for the country or was for themselves? Only for themselves. They don't care about the country. If they care about the country, why they bomb their own tanks? Why? Because the tanks take away the glory. You understand? That's what's happening today. Rabbi, I'm leaving your yeshiva and I'm going to that yeshiva. Oh, really? Why? I feel that I need to progress a little more now. What? Are you saying that they're better than us? You have no idea what you're talking about. Hold on 1 minute. Rabbi, tell me what's going on over there. It's $1,000 less in his pocket. Plus, one chair is empty, and another one would leave, and another one would leave, will be half empty. That's not good for my reputation. But if he wants people to learn Torah, that's really what he wants. I'm here to serve. You want my service? Fine. You don't want my service? At least I try. The rest is not in my hand. As long as you learn Torah, that's a person that is L'Shem Shamayim. This is who Hashem loves. Not people who wants to steal the glory for themselves. And the last thing for today, we have to understand what Korach was saying to Moshe, and everyone was laughing. To me it sounds, we're almost done, don't worry about that. Don't worry about this. It's good to learn Torah with... they're freezing? On the next world, there are two kinds of Gehenom. There's Gehenom of fire and there's Gehenom of ice. So that comes instead of the Gehenom of ice back there. The people, there's some people who goes from one place to another. Ice, cold. Ice, cold. New York, Miami. New York, Miami. New York, Miami. So, some of them steal ice and they put it in the underarms. And the Zohar says that Hashem shout at these people and say, even in Gehenom you're stealing? Why they take ice with them? Maybe they will have 5 minutes of relief. 5 minutes of relief. Because they go back and forth. I made a video. I never put it online. But it's a whole description of what happened in hell, in Gehenom. 100%. All the 7 different places. Shiva Madore Gehenom. But I never put it online. Today I just said the word punishment. Shame on you. There's no punishment in the Torah. Imagine if I describe all the punishment, what would happen? They will come to my house with signs, demonstration, CNN, ABC News. What is it? Nobody can handle the truth. So now, Korach said to Moshe, it sounds to me like kindergarten. And I wasn't a fool, It was very, very sharp. So he said, talit that it's completely blue. It needs tzitziot or no? It needs blue and a tzitzit or no? What kind of a question is that? What do we care? What color is the talit? Well, if the talit is orange or blue or white, still need white and blue. What kind of a question is this? Doesn't make any sense. A book in a house full of Torah books. Full of Torah books on the shelves. Does he need mezuzah or no? What kind of a question is this? What's the connection between books to mezuzah? To mitzvah from the Torah, and you yourself got the Torah like everyone else here. This question doesn't make any sense. What is he trying to say? Mezuzah come to keep us, to reserve us, to watch over us. Plenty of books can do the same job. You don't need now an extra little chapter from the Torah inside. He is trying to say to them, all of us here are books. And now you want to become our mezuzah, meaning the main shelter, coming in and out. We don't need you. We all of us books of Torah. We all holy like you. What do we need you? That's what he's trying to say. The way of the Baalei Machloket, that they always mix lies in their arguments. Always. How do you know that Korach never had a non-intentional mistake? How do you know? Maybe he made a mistake. Something confused him. Maybe it was not really intentional. How do we know? The answer is, one word that came out of his mouth shows that it was all jealousy. He said to Moshe and Aaron, Lama titnas'u. If he would tell them, why are you doing this and why are you doing that, and this is not right, and why did you do that, and why? Everything he may have said about Moshe, maybe he had suspicion, maybe it's a misunderstanding. But how can you come to the most humble person in the history and tell them why you are a show-off? Why you are stuck up? Do you understand what's going on here? If you come to argue with your opponent, you can argue about many things. But you cannot tell him about the thing that is known as the best in the world to dismiss it like it doesn't exist. Like a person teach a lot of Torah, 15 hours a day. But he does other things that are not so kosher. Let's say not 100% looks great. Maybe sometimes speaks Lashon Hara, maybe not so careful with brachot, maybe when he comes to pray not always on time. Okay, could be you find things about him. You cannot come and say to him, you're lazy, you never teach Torah. Everybody sees that it's 15 hours a day teach Torah. What do you? That's when you know that it's not an innocent mistake. Everything else you can say, oh, maybe he thought so. Maybe he saw him come one time late, he had stomach problems. He doesn't know the whole picture, so he's suspecting that he's not perfect. But when the thing that Moshe Rabbeinu is known as greatest, is humbled, you come and tell him that he's proud, then you know it's all a lie. 100% a lie. There's a story. There used to be a very big Ashkenazi rabbi, Rav Yecheskel Landa. Everybody called him Anoda BeYehuda. The Noda BeYehuda, one time there was a funeral in town of a secular person, secular. So when they take the body into the cemetery, he came with a razor. And he said, stop. He said to the sons of the deceased person, stop. The person before he died was in a hospital for a few weeks. So when a person is in a hospital, he grows beard. So he came with a razor and shaved the body of the dead person. Shaved him to have a nice clean shave. As the chief rabbi. Everyone was in shock. Rabbi, why are you shaving him with a razor? It's not allowed. Razor, it's not allowed. So the rabbi say, it's interesting, 20 years I was begging your father not to shave with a razor. None of you cared. Now when it's allowed to shave with a razor, you all scream. Everything by you is a lie. Where were you 20 years when he was shaving with a razor? How come you never scream it's not allowed? You want him to go like this with an ugly beard into the grave? Why? I want him to have nice clean shave. There was a brave rabbi. How many can do such thing today? Get a rock to your head. So the
Crazy.
Noda Yehuda, so, you know, there was a person named Rabbi Mizrachi. He was very big genius in Torah and in math, in geometry, math, trigonometry, all these things. And was a very, very rich person also. And he was managing a big yeshiva for many years. More than 40 years he was in a big Beit Din in Prague. Prague is a beautiful city, Czechoslovakia there, with the most beautiful shoes in the world. I saw some pictures. It's hard to believe how they make such beautiful shoes. When he became the rabbi, he refused to accept the job. Refused. Why? Because he saw that Rav Zerach did not sign. When Noda Yehuda saw that Rav Zerach never signed the nomination. But all the people told him, they convinced him, it's okay, Rabbi, he's not against you. He didn't sign not because he's against you, for different reason. Okay, so he agreed. Once he became the chief rabbi, few days later, Rabbi Zerach also came and signed it. And they became very, very good friends with them. The biggest Talmud of the Noda Yehuda wrote about Rabbi Zerach, Ma'or Enenu, Gaon Uzenu, the light of our eyes, our strength. And you should know that back in the days they didn't give titles to people like today for free. They gave a person a title, means he was like that. The end of the life of Rabbi Zerach, he became not so rich. He lost a lot of his wealth, but continued to pay all the contributions to the community as it was before, from his savings. When he was found by Rabbi Israel Frankel, right away he dismissed Rabbi Zerach from all his contribution and obligations. And he sent him a chain of coins of gold. Rabbi Zerach refused to accept it. Ah, what a relief. So Rabbi Israel told him, you have one choice. Either you accept the coins, or I'm going to force you to pay the highest taxes in the country, which you cannot afford. So he didn't have a choice, so he took the coins. But when Rabbi Zerach passed away, they found all the coins, he never used them, with a note. Return all these coins to Rav Israel Frankel, because he had a rule in his life. What was his rule? I never want to enjoy from anybody else besides what Hashem gives me, and that's it. Don't want gifts, don't want donations, don't want anything. Even when he was paying for them for years, supporting the whole yeshiva and everything, when he became poor, he refused to accept help from them. Why? Back in a time, that's how it was. People had love for Hashem and for the cause. They believed in it and they did it for the sake of heaven. And today it's very hard to find. Unfortunately, the way the world became. Someone from Israel sent me an email today. A very clever woman. In one email, she basically concluded the problem of our generation, one by one. She knows what's for the sake of heaven, what not for the sake of heaven, this and that, all the problem. 1, 2, 3, 4. What I've been thinking for years. She wrote in one page. Impressive, sharp woman. What's the conclusion? The conclusion that we have to look at the positive. Baruch Hashem, there's also positive things happening. What can we do? The world is far away from being perfect. Far away from being perfect. But the good point, the only good point that I see, is that Baruch Hashem, every day more and more Jews becoming Shomrei Shabbat, Shomrei Mitzvot. That's the good point. At the same time, you have religious kids who goes off the derech in massive amounts. So not necessarily the bucket is getting full. It may stay the same or even go down. I don't know the statistic. I cannot put on a scale all the Baalei Tshuva every day as opposed to all the religious people who go off the derech. I don't know. Maybe it's equal. Maybe, Baruch Hashem, more people become religious than people who become not religious. We don't know. One thing I do know, there are thousands of kids here in Brooklyn and Lakewood and Monsey and all the ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods that became complete goyim, complete. No Shabbat, no kashrut, drugs, problem, prostitutions, anything you can think of. It's a fact. You cannot deny it. You deny it, you live in a darkness, you live in an illusion. I cannot hear you. Why it's happening? There's many reasons for that. I even made a few lectures about it. It's a very sad phenomena, very sad. One of the reasons it happens is because these kids didn't get enough love from their parents, because not that the parents don't love them, it's sometimes hard to show love. Sometimes the nature of the people, they're cold and close. It's very difficult for them to show love. So a lot of those kids grew up with cold parents, and automatically they felt that they're not important. Automatically they develop resistance from Yiddishkeit and from love to the Torah, because they looked at their parents as the representative of the Torah. Just today I put on my Facebook page a little video that someone sent me. I saw it a few years ago, but it was a good reminder of a little kid who come with the coins, with a bag of coins to his father, and he said, "Abba, how much money you make?" And the father said to him, "I'm busy now, don't you see? I'm in a meeting now, it's not important now." And then he comes again, "Abba, how much money you make?" "It's not important now, what are you asking me? I'm busy now." "Abba, how much money you make?" And then the father got curious. He said to him, "I make $100 an hour. What is it so important that you keep asking?" So he said to him, "Abba, here is 50 that I collected over the months. Can I get half an hour of your time?" That's when the father realized how horrible the way he raises children. But, no one is perfect, obviously. So that's one problem. There's not enough love. Second problem is the world is very materialistic. All religious people, almost, not all, but almost all, if I have to put my finger and guess, at least 80%, became very, very materialistic. In the previous generations, I remember even only 20 years ago, I came to Monsey 20 years ago, was one fancy home, that's it, one. Everything else looks like sheds and cabins. And today, 90% is big mansions with very fancy things inside. Everything changed in 20 years. The cars changed. What religious person would drive a Mercedes 20 years ago? You give him $1 million, would be embarrassed to sit inside. Today, Mercedes, Lexus, Jaguars, no Bentleys, relax. So today, unfortunately, the materialism overcame the religion. That's it. People live for the money. They live for the vacation, they live for the clothes, they live for the show-off, they live for the chandeliers, they live for the jewelry. For that they live. When the kids see, it's all fake. Why would I be religious? It's all fake, ma. We like goyim, ma. We love the same thing the goyim love. My father loves the same stupid Yankees and the baseball, and he's pretending he's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So the kid doesn't want to be a hypocrite. It's very hard to blame him. That's the second reason. There are a few other reasons. One more reason that you can see is the internet. It started 20 years ago and it kills a lot of good souls. Why? Curiosity. Kids, one time they go in and they see something and they want it again and they want it again. From here, the way to destruction is very short. That's another problem. And all the smartphones. Like some parents were naive. They didn't know the potential risk in a smartphone. They gave it to their little children, 11, 12, you should have a phone. But already in a phone, he has all kinds of connections to places that can destroy his neshama. That's another issue. One more reasons for that is that the school systems has major problems. Why? The school is still teaching the same way they used to teach before the Satan changed his face. So when you fight in science, if you know a little bit medicine, you have a virus, let's call it A. In order to kill him, you need to inject minus A minus. The A minus will kill the A, right? That's how the body works, the vaccine system. But if you attack the A and the A change into B, minus A cannot affect the B. Can only affect the A, cannot affect the B. That's, by the way, how AIDS behave. AIDS is a virus. That's how Professor Rubinstein, that made the word AIDS, he called it HIV AIDS. Professor Rubinstein, he lives in Muncie, became religious. I made a seminar with him 18 years ago. I asked him about AIDS. He told me they'll never be able to find cure for AIDS. They can only find vaccine. That's what we're working on. We don't work here on a cure. So I said, why? Why not to find a cure? To find a vaccine that it will not enter the body in first place, it's possible. He said to me. To find a cure, it's not possible. I asked him why. He said because every time you attack the AIDS, it has a mutation. It changed to something new. And then when you attack the something new, finally after months of research and effort, it changed to something new. So it will constantly change. There's no way to kill it. And so you can only prevent it from entering the body by giving a shot to a person. It may not be, and until now they never found a vaccine even. They only found medicine that make it a little bit easier on the people that have it, that extend their life a little bit. But other than that, that's it. There's really almost no progress in it, as they wished. So the same thing over here. The yeshivot teach the same thing, but they never ever saw it coming. The internet, what's happening on the streets, what's happening with YouTube, Facebook, all these things that all of a sudden came out to the world, the yeshivot did not saw it come. They did not see it coming. And in a war, if your enemy changes entire tactics, an entire weapon, he used to attack with old tanks, now he has massive tanks. He used to attack with little Piper airplanes, now we have massive F-35 and bombers and all kinds of anti-radar equipment, and you're not ready for the war, he will wipe you out. The yeshivot, it's very difficult for them to adjust to the new war. You need to be a specialist to know how to prepare the student from all the apikorsim and what's happening today in the internet. A lot of manipulators and liars, all kinds of things that they attack the Torah and the Talmud, they attack Chazal, they attack the rabbis. Today, every mistake a rabbi make, right away, it's all over the internet. You didn't have it 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you could learn from someone 20 years. He makes mistakes here and there. Nobody knows. So you hold very highly of him. Why? We are people. We're not angels. We make mistakes. But you hold very highly of him, so he had an effect on you. But today, when you don't look highly of your rabbis, how are you going to learn from them? There's nobody to learn from anymore. It's very, very few people that still have clean reputation. Almost everyone's reputation is ruined because of the internet. Today, they make religious website to expose problems in a religious community, and that's only making more kids go off the derech. They think that what they do is good. But in reality, they make more damage than what they help. And nobody cares about Lashon Hara, nobody cares about Motzi Shem Ra, nobody cares about murders. It's a free market. Anything you want, they write on the internet. Nobody is responsible for his actions. We're facing a very massive war. Very, very massive war. On top of it, and we'll finish with that, on top of it, there's one more problem. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai told us 2,000 years ago that the last generation before Mashiach would come, all the garbage souls from all the previous generations will be reincarnated for the last time, last chance. So all the dirt, all the garbage of all the wicked people, of all the previous generations came to this generation, Tkufat Acharit Hayamim. That's why you see so many gays, and that's why you see so many thieves, and that's why you see so many murderers, and that's why you see so many idol worshippers in the Jewish world. Unbelievable how people worship this rabbi and they worship that rabbi. He never died, he runs the world. Everybody is like the peel of the garlic compared to my rabbi. All this nonsense that you see today, it's in massive amounts. And you see tons of Lashon Hara, and you see tons of divorce, and selfishness, and drugs, and all kinds of things you see. Everything, collecting all the garbage from all the garbage cans in the neighborhood into yours. That's what happened. That's why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was crying. He said, I don't want to live in that generation. It's the holy Tana, Mechaya Ameti. I wouldn't want to live in that generation, he said. From the big nisyonot in emunah and so much corruption and garbage that will be in the world. That's one more reason why a lot of these kids are off the derech. This is souls of people from previous lives who were big apikorsim and minim and kofrim and all kinds of people. And Hashem has to send them somewhere. So he sent them to the religious families. Where will he send them? To Dizengoff, to Shenkin, to the beach in Tel Aviv? To the beach in, where is he going to send these souls? So they have to have an atmosphere, a place that you can teach them Torah and teach them the mitzvot, that they don't have later excuses. What's the point of reincarnating me again into the world if you put me in San Francisco or in Las Vegas? What's the point? You didn't give me a fair chance. So he puts him in Borough Park. He puts him in Bnei Brak. He puts him in Yerushalayim. He puts him in Monsey. He puts him in Lakewood. Where is he going to put all these souls? He has to send them to the religious community. They have to be in yeshivot. They have to have a fair chance. That they cannot say, oh, we didn't know there is such thing Torah. Well, I grew up in a kibbutz. Well, you want me to lose my eternity because I grew up in a kibbutz or in San Francisco? It's fair. But now when they come in the family of Lakewood and they have 7 righteous brothers, and he's the only one who became a bum, tattoos, this, Goya, all these things that he doesn't have excuses. What excuse is going to give? And if he's going to blame his parents, like most of them do, then Hashem will shut their mouth by showing them all the good that their parents did. You can ask Michael. One time we went after the shiur, when we were in a previous place, we sat in a place and one girl came to us complaining about her horrible childhood. I spoke to her how long? 10 minutes, 15 minutes I spoke to her. 15 minutes I spoke to her. And she started to think, you know what, after all, maybe my parents were not such monster, even though she described them as complete monster. But after all, she started to have a second thought. Another hour or two you sit with her, she begins to see, you know what, maybe I owe my parents a lot more than what I think I do. The way their people are today, then they eventually when they come in front of Hashem, what are they going to say? My parents abused me. How exactly your parents abused you? They never gave me compliments. They always criticize me. Or maybe he has a point. But then Hashem will show them all the great things they did for him. How much they prayed for him, how much they cooked for him, how much they worked extra hours to put him in a good yeshiva, and deeds and that, and how much they sacrificed for him, and how much they cry at nights because of him. Then he will have the big shame. When he will see, I only criticize my parents for a few little stupid things. Maybe I don't like the car they bought me for my Sweet 16. I don't like it. So it's Rabbi, you know, it's not, the engine is only 3.0. I wanted the 5.0. My father is such a stingy man, I'm telling you. It cannot be. How much he paid for the car? 100,000, but it's nothing for him. Another 30,000, I would have the car I really wanted. We have to take him a little bit to India to see how the kids eat from the garbage and live on the sidewalk. You know? Go one time, take your children to India. Let them see how the children live on a sidewalk. Take shower with a hose on the street with rats next to them. Maybe they appreciate the mansion they have here in Ocean Parkway for $10 million. They'll appreciate every piece from the chandelier in the room. They take it for granted. Yes?
If the neshama is corrupt to begin with, how could it be on the same level as the people that are great?
No, the neshama is corrupted because of sins that we made in previous life. It wasn't originally corrupted. It's dirty. Corrupted, I mean dirty from the sins. You come to the world and do tshuva, you clean the dirt.
But it can never become on the same level as a tzaddik, no?
It can become even higher than a tzaddik. If a person do tshuva, not only become clean, he goes to the highest level. A person is born a goy, from the worst nations of the goyim. The goyim also have different levels. The worst nation. And he converts to Judaism and becomes tzaddik. He goes to the highest level. The best example in the Torah is Rachav. She was a prostitute. She had a prostitution home. Very pretty goya. You can imagine what took place in her place all the years. Then she protected the two Jewish spies who came to her, Kalev and Pinchas. She hid them. She made a covenant with them that when the Jews come and take the Holy Land, they're not going to touch her family. And later she converted to Judaism. She became a tzaddiket. And she married Yoshua ben Nun, the one that took Moshe Rabbeinu's place. Back in the day, it was an honor to marry a convert. An honor. Not like today, oh, convert, my son has nothing wrong about him. You know? Why do you offer us a convert? Why do you offer us, forget convert, why do you offer us a balas tshuva? But she's completely righteous now. Yes, of course, and don't get me wrong, we appreciate it. But my son, he went to Lakewood Yeshiva. Why would he go with balas tshuva? But excuse me, she's 1,000,000 times greater than your son. Still doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It could be the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Baal tshuva, finish, second-class citizen. Stupidity. Everything here is a bunch of stupidities. Why? What's the rules? What we say. The opposite. One person told me, would you marry your son to her? I say, yes. Really? Really? No, don't just tell me that. Really? You mean it? I say, yes. Okay, so I'll go on a shidduch. I had to tell him this in order for him to go and marry a Baalas Tshuva. You understand? There is what the Torah say, and that's what we do. I always say, Rabbi Akiva today, the greatest Jew in history, on his own he became what he became. He would not be accepted to any yeshiva in the world. You know a 40-year-old man, Baal Tshuva, doesn't know Aleph Bet, divorced, some say with a child even. He comes to yeshiva here, Talmud Torah. Hello, hi, shalom Rabbi. Well, what's your name? Akiva, first grade. Can you teach me Aleph Bet? No, go to Aleph Dalet Gordon. Over there they teach you Hebrew. After you know Hebrew, come back to us. No one would accept him. Back in the day, he went to yeshiva to learn Aleph Bet with the little children. Sit in a class with the children on these little chairs, you know. Think about it. And he became just as big as Moshe Rabbeinu with his Torah knowledge. And there's many things today that we do which has nothing to do with what the Torah requires. But Be'ezrat Hashem, like I said, there's also positive things. There's lots of chesed, and there's lots of Baalei Tshuva. Not enough, of course. Next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, finally, after we went to Shiv'a Medorei Gehenom, my English films is coming out. After all the correction, he said to me, end of this week, beginning of next week. So hopefully by next Tuesday, I will already have few copies for you. This is a film that I strongly believe that will make a revolution in the whole world. 2.5 hours, the purpose of life in English, in the highest quality, nothing less than Hollywood films. It's very good quality. We invested our heart and soul and money into it for a long, long time. Anybody here or anyone that will hear it tomorrow wants to sponsor CDs, I want to come up with a massive amount, not 1,000 or 2. We want to do tens of thousands in one shot. Because once you put many, many thousands on the street, then later they bring more donations. If you start little, it will take forever. You want to flood the area. You want to flood the places. You want to give it like we did in Israel now. We made 9 films right here on a blue DVD in Hebrew. 9 films in Hebrew in 3 months. Hundreds of Baalei Tshuva wrote to me that became Shomrei Shabbat from this DVD. And many of them didn't even have the DVD. They watched it on YouTube or on the website. On the DVD, you give it to a secular Jew, 9 films of proofs, beautiful sound and picture. Every 3 seconds, new picture on the screen. The nicest picture you've seen in your life. I ask my guys, where do you find all these pictures? I mean, I've been speaking in hundreds of lectures. They take 2 minutes from here, 3 minutes from there, 5 minutes from there. But you have to find every 3 seconds as I speak pictures that goes on with music. So one of them told me, what do you think we find? Whatever we need, Hashem brings it to us in seconds. One miracle after the other. So it shows you how much Hashem wants this film to be out. Because in today's world, you give a book to a person, the chance he will read it is close to 0. Who would go and read books about proofs? Only very high intellectual people who have interest. You give someone a DVD, he's curious. He puts it in his computer or in his car. He begins to watch 2 minutes, thinking to shut it. But then the beginning is so powerful, then you watch more and more and more, and eventually becomes Shomer Shabbat. Everyone wants to sponsor CDs. You know where to find me. If you don't know, divineinformation.com. Credit card, amount, send, money comes in the next day, we make CDs. Not only this, we make, Baruch Hashem, we have more than 50 collections already. More than 50 collections, each one is 30 hours of lectures on CDs already. So it's enough for a person to sit from now until he has gray hair, straight, and learn Torah. No excuses. Can sit all day and learn Torah, one after the other. I have a list of people, I send them every hour, at least 1 email of a new Baal Tshuva somewhere in the world. At least one every hour. Some of them I don't send because they have personal information. Only the ones who just tell, thank you, I became religious from this film, I became religious from this lecture. Only this kind, because I want them to see how great their money performs. When a person sees results, he opens up his heart a little more. And there's no greater knowledge, greater chokhmah than experience. If you have experience, you see results, then you see it, it's actual. If somebody only tells you, okay, you understand, you believe, but it's not real in your eyes. Kalimi, tell them if I'm exaggerating. You're getting from me every day a few good emails like this. Did you ever see in the history emails like this of people? What do you write to me? Mind-blowing. One soul after the other, he can tell you that. And then that's the right investment. For every person here, the 10%, the maaser, you should put only in CDs. CDs changing the life of people, even more than the media. If you give a person a card and tell him go to the internet, go to the website, most of the time they don't go. You give them something actual, here is my gift from you, watch it, you'll see the answer to all your questions. Large portion of them would watch it or would listen and it will change their life. Once they're in, that's it. You know the truth. There's nothing you cannot get it out anymore. Once you put the seeds in, it begins to bloom. Tefillin, mezuzot, Shabbat, modesty, kosher, moving the children to yeshivot. Billions of mitzvot goes to your account. Take advantage on it. Baruch Hashem that gave us this technology. With the price of $1, we can go to families and save them. And it travels from one to another. Take advantage on it. Thank you very much. Shavua Tov.